Welcome. Let's dive right into this explainer. You've stepped up to make a real difference this summer with the Life Skills and Family Support Project, and we are absolutely thrilled to have you. So let's get you equipped to be as successful, confident, and effective as possible in your new role. First things first, before we get into the nuts and bolts, let's define exactly what your role is. And honesty, this should be a massive relief. You are simply a caring, guided helper. That's the whole shebang. Your primary job is just to encourage participation and follow the steps we give you. You are not a clinician, you're definitely not a therapist, and no one expects you to give medical advice. You're a supportive peer. Okay, here's our quick roadmap for today. We'll hit 5 key areas. 1, defining the volunteer role. 2, mastering the support ladder. 3, writing objective progress notes. 4, navigating safety and boundaries. And finally, number 5, the final showcase celebration. As you'll see, your entire summer is built on 3 really solid pillars: support, safeguard, and celebrate. Basically, you'll support practice with the right guidance, safeguard students by protecting their privacy, and then, of course, celebrate their success. Everything we're going to talk about today falls neatly under one of those 3 buckets. All right, let's jump straight into section 1, defining the volunteer role. Imagine a giant target. You live right in the center, that safe, welcoming volunteer zone. In there, your actions are straightforward. Encourage participation, use basic prompts, and jot down notes. But you've got to watch out for that red outer ring. That's the clinical zone. Every move you make needs to be directed by the lead team. We leave the formal assessments, behavior plans, and actual therapy entirely to the experts. If you ever feel yourself drifting into that clinical zone, just take a step back. Moving right along to section 2, mastering the support ladder. Think of your support kind of like a delicate balance scale. On one side, you have successful participation, and on the other, the absolute minimum necessary support. You've got to balance their success with the lowest level of help you can possibly give. Why? Because over-prompting, swooping in to do it for them, actually steals their opportunity to learn. So give them just enough of a nudge to succeed, and not an ounce more. To nail that balance, you're going to use the ladder of support. Down at the bottom, step 1 is pure independence, and it climbs all the way up to step 6, which is physical guidance. Your goal? Always start as low on this ladder as you can. Maybe they just need a step 2 visual cue, like pointing to a picture, or a step 4 short verbal reminder. You only move up to heavier support if it's absolutely, undeniably necessary. Now, this turns into an active, continuous loop that we call the art of fading. First, you start by providing whatever initial support they need to succeed right then. Second, and trust me, this is usually the hardest part, you wait. Just intentionally pause. Give the student time to process before you jump in again. Third, you reduce the support, letting them take the wheel. And finally, record what happened. Start, wait, reduce, record. It's a rhythm, and it really works. Which brings us to section 3, writing objective progress notes. Your notes are absolutely vital, but they need to be super structured. A really good progress note strips out all personal emotion and assumptions. It's just the facts. We need the date, the context of the activity, the observable actions the student actually took, the exact prompt levels you used from that ladder we just talked about, and any direct feedback from the family. Ending with actionable next steps means the whole team knows exactly where to pick up tomorrow. Here's where people tend to get tripped up. Imagine writing something vague like, "He did well." I mean, that's nice to hear, but it tells the lead team literally nothing about what actually went down. Instead, we need objective, actionable data. Something like, student completed 4 of 6 steps with visual support and 2 verbal prompts. See the difference there? That tells us the exact mechanics of their success so we can replicate it. All right, on to section 4, navigating safety and boundaries. Before any activity even starts, you're going to run through a strict pre-flight checklist. Think of yourself like a pilot before takeoff. First up is a parent or approved adult present. You are never the sole adult in charge. Next, check the activity fit. Is this actually realistic? Then do a quick scan for environmental risks like traffic or sharp kitchen tools. Finally, double-check health or sensory concerns like food allergies. You do not launch until every single box is checked. But hey, even with perfect prep, things happen, right? If something goes wrong, this escalation tree shows you exactly how to react. Immediate danger or injury? Call 911 first, then notify your leads. If a student gets repeatedly distressed, pause the activity. Do not force it. And what if a family asks you for clinical advice? Just politely remind them of your volunteer boundaries and point them straight to the lead team. Okay, I want you to burn this golden rule into your memory right now. Literally repeat it to yourself. When in doubt, pause, document, ask. If you ever feel unsure about an interaction, a safety issue, or a blurry boundary, just hit pause on what you're doing, document objectively what happened, and ask your leads for help. You never, ever have to guess your way through a tricky situation. Finally, let's look at Section 5, the final showcase celebration. So, the end of the summer is all about honoring the family's hard work. And remember, it's a celebration, not an assessment. We're here to share meaningful goals and the routine practices that led to success. We are entirely avoiding any focus on deficits, private challenges, or formal testing. It's purely about pride, joy, and recognizing tangible growth. And we want to keep participation completely accessible and pressure-free. The students get to present on their own terms. That might be speaking live, but it could also mean using an AAC device, showing a short video, or just pointing to a visual poster. It could even be a delegated voice where you or a parent speaks for them. Every single one of these options is equally awesome and valid. Of course, privacy is a huge deal during the celebration. That's why we stick to a granular consent matrix. Every family sets their own comfort levels for identity, media, and audience. One family might be totally fine with full names and photos, while another might want initials only and absolutely zero pictures. You have to respect those exact boundaries. Always check with your leads before sharing anything. When you step back, look at how all these pieces connect. It all starts with those family-centered goals. Then, your carefully chosen prompts and objective notes build a bridge straight to that meaningful final celebration, all while being protected by safe boundaries. You are the structural support making this whole journey possible. To wrap up this explainer, here is your quick checklist to keep handy for summer success. 1. Start with a family and their routines. 2. Always step back and use the lowest prompt needed. 3. Capture the objective facts in your notes. 4. Fiercely protect safety and privacy boundaries. And 5. When you're unsure, just hit pause. So, you've got the framework, you know the ladder of support, and you know how to safeguard these families. As you head out into the field, remember this. Sometimes the absolute best way to help someone isn't by doing things for them, but by patiently standing right beside them as they learn to do it themselves. So the only question left is, are you ready to step into your zone and be that catalyst for their journey to independence this summer? Let's get started.